Okay, in this part of the video I'm going to be talking about converting between grams and kilograms, which is something that I'm asking Year 4 to be doing today. Now, we've done some conversion before. We've done conversion between centimetres and metres and centimetres and millimetres, and if you remember what we did there, it's very, very similar. You just need to remember two things. The first thing you definitely need to remember is how many grams go into a kilogram. That's going to be essential information today. So grams to kilograms, we know that 1 kilogram is equal to 1,000 grams, and we need to keep that in mind. The second thing we need to do is understand what operation has to be done to change them. How do we go from kilograms to grams, and how do we go from grams to kilograms? And again, it's this central piece of information that's going to be helpful to us. In order to convert kilograms to grams, we need to perform a multiplication operation. Because kilograms are greater than grams, when you change kilograms to grams, that number is going to get bigger. You're going to have more grams than you had kilograms. So we do a multiplication. That's the same for any unit of measurement. If you're changing from the larger unit of measurement to the smaller unit of measurement, you are multiplying. So meters to centimeters is multiplying, centimeters to millimeters is multiplying, kilograms to grams involves multiplying. How much we multiply by is determined by how many of the smaller unit of measurement, so grams, go within one of the larger, and we know that that's 1,000. So I'm going to be timesing by 1,000. Conversely, when we're looking on the other side, grams to kilograms, going from the smaller unit of measurement to the larger unit of measurement, we need to do the opposite. So in this case we'd be dividing, because there would be fewer grams in 1 kilogram, because grams are the smaller unit. And how many grams go into a kilogram? 1,000. So we are dividing by 1,000 on this side. Multiplying and dividing by 1,000 are relatively straightforward skills. We have done multiplying and dividing by 10. We've done multiplying and dividing by 100. This is just one step further. We're looking at 1,000. Now, when we've done multiplying by 10, I'm going to talk about that. Now, one way to work out how to multiply by 1,000 is to use a place value grid, and I've shown you this before. In this case, I'm going to need something in the thousands, so I might do thousands, hundreds, tens, ones, and you might also need today your tenths and hundredths, depending on which numbers you're having to convert. Decimal points always carry down. I'm going to draw some quick lines here. Okay. Now, for this method, as you no doubt remember, we have to put our starter number in this top row of our place value grid, and you're welcome to draw one for yourself. I've provided some on the sheet for you to use, but you can draw it out as well. So let's say I was converting 7 kilograms. 7 kilograms. 7 will go into the ones, 97, and then you've got to multiply it by 1,000. When we multiplied by 10, we did one jump. So we would have moved the 7 down into the tens there to make that 70. Tens was one jump, hundreds was 2 jumps, so I would have moved the 7 into the hundreds column. I would have jumped to the tens, then jumped to the hundreds to be 700. Times by 1,000 is going to be 3 jumps. So you can see there's a bit of a rule of thumb here, because we can see however many zeros is the number of jumps, the number of place value columns we have to move our digit along by. Always moving to the left when we're multiplying, because the numbers are getting bigger, and numbers get bigger going to the left on the place value grid. Ones, tens, hundreds, thousands. So looking back at our example then, 7 kilograms into grams, 7 multiplied by 1000 is going to equal 3 jumps along, so 1, 2, 3, 7. We're not allowed to leave those blank, 7,000. Because my number didn't have any digits in the tenths or the hundreds column, I don't have to put anything in these. It's satisfied itself. It's got nothing left in there. 7 kilograms, 7,000. Now that's an example which we could probably do mentally, thinking that 7 times 1,000 is 7,000. So that's not too tricky. However, if we were to look at another example, if we were to look at a 2-digit, for example, so let's say we were converting 15 kilograms into grams, then it becomes a slightly different scenario. Still the same skill involved. I would put 1 and 5, 110, 5 ones, and then I would move, times it by 1,000, so I'm moving each digit of the number up 3 place value columns. So my 10 would go hundreds, well that's 1 jump, thousands, that's 2 jumps, ooh, that's a 3rd jump. And this is where we start to get into tens of thousands, so I'm just going to put 10,000. So my 1 would have moved to there. My 5, 1 jump into the tens, 2 jump into the hundreds, 3 jumps into the thousands. And then I have to put my zeros in, and I know lots of you like to put a comma in as well. So 15 kilograms then is going to equal 15,000 grams. For decimal point numbers, it's going to work exactly the same way. I'll just do a very quick example if I can scribble this out. So let's imagine we were working on, why not, let's do 1.5. 1.5 kilograms, so my 1 goes in the ones, my 0.5 is a tenth, so that goes in that column, timesing it by 1,000, 1, 2, 3, that's in the thousands. 1, do not count the decimal point as a place value column, it isn't, it's just a dot to mark when we're looking at numbers less than 1. So that's 1 into the ones, 2, 3, into the hundreds, there it ends up. Fill these with your 0 and you've got 1,500. So 1.5 kilograms is equal to 1,500 grams. Now, that should be relatively straightforward since we've practiced those skills before. If you're not finding it straightforward, rewatch the video. There's plenty of examples, plenty of questions so you can have a go. You can even make up ones of your own. So on and so forth. Okay, let's move into looking at dividing then. So dividing, changing from grams to kilograms, dividing by 1,000, it's the same process but just in reverse. So instead of moving the place value, instead of moving the digits to the left, we're going to move them to the right. So I shall put in my 10,000 just in case we need it again. Thousands, hundreds, tens, ones, 1/10, hundreds. Now, if you can do these calculations mentally, then by all means do so. This is just one way that you could approach the problems if you were finding it difficult to calculate mentally. Down here then, dividing by 10, dividing by 100, dividing by 1,000. Again, the number of zeros in the digits here are giving us a clue as to how many jumps we need to do. Okay, so let's say I wanted to convert, let's do a simple one, 2,000 grams to kilograms. 2, 2,000. I'm going to move that 3 jumps to the right. It's got to get smaller because we're dividing 1, 2, 3. So it would be 2 kilograms. So 2,000 grams is equal to 2 kilograms. Let's look at another example. Let's make it a slightly more interesting example. Let's go with 2,500 grams. 2,500. Again, I've got to do 3 jumps for each digit. The 2, 1, 2, 3 is going to be in the ones. The 5 now, which is in the hundreds, still has to do that jump. 1, 2, and down in the ones. When you divide ones by 10, you get tenths, because 1 divided by 10 is 1/10. So that 5 ends up in here. Those decimal points, remember, do not count as a column to jump to. They are demarcating, they are telling you that what comes after is less than 1. Reading that together, then you end up with 2.5. So 2,500 grams is equal to 2.5 kilograms. Okay, I'll do one final example. The most complicated I think I have put in is along these lines. Again, it's no more complicated in terms of the mechanics of it. It just might be a little more something to think about. So, let's do something along the lines of 2,560 grams. Into my thousands, 2,500s, 6 tens, 0 ones, dividing it by 1,000. So 1, 2, 3, we know that 2 is in the ones column, 5, tens, ones, tenths, 2.5 at the moment, the 6 in the tens, ones, tenths, hundredths. So we end up with the answer 2.56. So 2,560 grams is equal to 2.56 kilograms. And that's it. That's all you need to know, really. So it's just a case of recalling that 1 kilogram is 1,000 grams, and that converting from the bigger unit of measurement means we're timesing by 1,000. Converting from the smaller to the bigger means we are dividing by 1,000. And I've shown you one way you could work it out if you needed to do it in a paper fashion. If you can do it mentally, do it that way. Or if you have your own tip or trick to do so, then please do so.